When it comes to NASCAR at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we break the cardinal rule of Sin City. What happens in Vegas sticks with you for the rest of the year. Welcome, everybody, to another day of coverage on Speed here. I'm John Roberts at the Speed Stage, and we're glad you're along with us as we once again have an absolutely beautiful day for racing out here. We got NASCAR's two top series in action. We got you covered all day long on Speed. Nationwide Series qualifying happens now in just a matter of minutes. Then it's Sprint Cup practice at 1:30 Eastern, final practice at 2:30, and then the Sam's Town 300 at 4 o'clock on ESPN2. We got a couple of local heroes starting on the front row for the Sprint Cup Series, but one of them has to go to the back of the field. That's just one of the many stories we'll be looking at, but get set. We're going to set the field for the Nationwide.
First car on the racetrack for NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying for the Sam's Town 300 is Jason Leffler in the 38 car. 47 cars here for 43 positions. The Nationwide Series teams race later this afternoon here on this mile-and-a-half track banked at 20 degrees, progressive banking in the corners.
You know, Jason's working with a different crew chief this year, Greg Zipadelli. Scott Zipadelli. Greg Zipadelli's brother is now over there at that organization. He was pretty fast in practice the other day.
Yes, he was. Leffler in a Toyota out of the Braun Stables, making his 5th Las Vegas start.
Hermie, what do you think about the racetrack this morning? Would you like to be in his position going out this early?
I tell you, you probably don't want to be the very first car out, Jeff, but it's cooler. It's like opposite of what we see in Sprint Cup qualifying. Early in the morning, track should have a lot of grip right now.
Pretty decent lap right there, almost 180 miles an hour.
And glad you're with us, everybody. Steve Burns, Hermie Sadler, and Jeff Hammond. Nationwide Series qualifying just underway. Hermie, we had some drama here yesterday. 2 practice sessions for the Nationwide Series, including some tough moments for the hometown hero, Brendan Gaughan, out of Las Vegas.
Yeah, Steve, what a roller coaster day Brendan Gaughan had to be fastest in the first practice session right here at home. A lot of momentum, a lot of excitement. Then he loses it right here. You can see crashes that primary race car, trying to get all he can get to, a good race car. He gets more and more confident, but these guys go to a backup car, and they tell me that this backup car they feel like has an opportunity to be every bit as good as this primary car. It's a car that they've had a couple top 10 finishes with last year with David Streamy driving that race car, but never good to lose your car, especially in final practice, Jeff and Steve. He doesn't have a single lap on the racetrack in this backup car, but he wants to try to get it back going and have a good run for the hometown crowd.
And Jeff, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is running 7 Nationwide Series races. In 2009, lap 1 of the first practice, he loses an oil line.
Yeah, he hasn't been on this racetrack since 1999 in a Nationwide car, but he goes out there on that first practice lap, and all of a sudden he comes off the corner there, and oil starts building out the back of this car. He oils down the entire racetrack, and it took him 47 minutes to effect repairs on this number 5 car. So he's looking to kind of rebound, get a good starting position for today's race. And hey, let's face it, he does have a second place finish here, and he's going out qualifying with the go or go homers. But last year, Mark Martin drove his number 5 to victory. So I think he's got a pretty good opportunity to have a very successful day here at Las Vegas.
Well, Hermie spoke of Brendan Gaughan. Chris Devoda standing by with him.
That's right, and as that backup car rolls down the grid, we're walking along the grid with Brendan Gaughan. And Brendan, I guess the big question I have is, are you still mad at yourself? You were pretty mad when we talked to you at the end of that practice. How you feeling right now?
I mean, I'm always upset when you make a stupid mistake like that, but did an autograph session last night at the South Point with Rusty and Steven, and Rusty's okay, but my daddy's still a little pissed at me. The good thing about the Rusty Wallace race team is we have great race cars from top to bottom, and so our backup car actually has a little bit more side force, which I like a feel of. So I think our Impala, we're going to see if I can't do what all great drivers and great race teams do. First lap, top 10 qualifying, that's my goal.
All right, bring these hometown fans to their feet. Go do it.
All right, thank you, Krista. Eric McClure in the 24 car completes his effort. A little bit slower than Jason Leffler in his Ford.
Yeah, Eric this year is racing for the Renzi Hamilton team this year, and they're just trying to get things kind of like worked out so they can feel their way through this entire new season. That they feel like they're very optimistic that with Chris Wright on board that they'll be able to get this team going like they need to.
Ken Butler III in the 23 car, and let's look ahead just a little bit, guys. He'll be followed by Mike Bliss, who was fastest in second practice yesterday former series champion David Green, and then DJ Kennington.
We have a lot of drama all the way through this session, Steve, because we get to the end of the session. The go-go home group includes Dale Earnhardt Jr., Greg Biffle, and Kyle Busch, among others. So it's going to get exciting when we get ready to close this thing out.
Butler, one of 13 drivers who will be making their first, or hope to be making their first start at Las Vegas.
Yeah, I spoke to Ken Butler yesterday, the third, it is, down in the garage area just prior to the rookie meeting. I said, never seen this place before, have you, buddy? He said, nope, just like last week, I got kind of feel my way through this thing. And, you know, for a young man like this, Hermie, I mean, that's a big challenge to come here because this is a fast racetrack. And, again, you need to hit your marks here because if you make a mistake, we've already seen what happened to Brendan Gaughan. And, you know, he's got a lot of laps on this racetrack, and you make a mistake, you'll pay the price.
I tell you, Ken Butler impressed me last week the way he was patiently working his way up to speed on that racetrack, and has done a good job so far this weekend. A little bit faster, Steve, second time by.
Did a good job at Fontana, finishing 20th. Let's go down to the editor of Speedway Illustrated magazine, Dick Berggren.
Well, thanks, Steve. We're here with Jason Leffler. He's been fast the whole time at Las Vegas, 6th and 9th in the practice session. Looked like a pretty good run. You happy with it?
Yeah, we slowed down a little bit from yesterday afternoon. I don't know why. I mean, you're wide open and maybe a little tight in 1 or 2. Maybe had a little too much wheel into it, but this track is really fun to drive in these cars. I mean, it reminds you of driving an Indy car or something because you're just, you know, to the wood and a lot of downforce. We might have a little too much downforce right now for these cool temperatures, but Great Clips Toyota is pretty good, so we're looking forward to the race.
And by the way, that haircut, that's just the way it came when he took the helmet off. How about that?
That's good grooming right there.
Hey, Dick, take your helmet off.
It stayed the same.
Stayed the same.
Here's a man, Steve, you said fastest in practice, final practice, Mike Bliss. These guys have really picked up their program, especially on these mile-and-a-half racetracks.
He really has. And again, he's one of the drivers who was in the garage early this morning. Mike was very optimistic. They're going to have a fast race car in this practice session, but his concern is where I like to see it. He's really worried about the race. He feels like, you know, they may have the right setup, they can make the right adjustments. He said, Jeff, it seems like these tires, the longer you run, the tighter the racetrack gets. So it's real hard to hit the right kind of balance. Right now, he goes to the top of the board with a 29.85, a very impressive lap of almost 181 miles an hour. And I'm not too sure that's up there flirting real close with the track record.
He's one and done, too.
Yeah.
Awesome lap. And he was on the gas all the way around, never lifted.
Yeah, we were talking about that, you know, how much you're getting out of the throttle. He said, Jeff, he said, really? He said, you're just barely blipping it. You know, you can call it trail brake if you want to, but he said, this place here, you got to hustle.
Track record, 181.708 miles per hour. Brian Vickers did that last year. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying from Las Vegas is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, the official auto insurance provider of NASCAR. And by Touch of Gray from Just for Men. Mike Bliss, still the fastest of 5 drivers who have qualified here in NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying. And DJ Kennington, 3rd overall there in his 81 car. And we go back to Dick Berggren.
With Mike Bliss, who was fastest in practice, so it's no surprise that you've cut the quickest lap so far. How close to wide open were you?
You know, I kind of thought maybe the track could have a little more grip than what it did, and I was pretty free through 1 and 2, so I was probably just tapping about 1/4 of an inch, you know, but 3 and 4 was pretty close. I wouldn't say I was wide open. I was probably mentally, maybe I thought I was, but my foot was tapping a little bit on, but that was a good run. This Mikasuki Chevrolet has been real fast since we unloaded, and just that should be hopefully a top 5 starting position, and we can maybe win our first race.
Well, maybe win another pole too. We won one here in 2004. Krista.
David Reagan has been very busy out here in Vegas doing a lot of appearances for Discount Tire. And when you do those, I know Hollywood Hammond, Jeff Hammond's involved with you. Who's more popular? Who do the fans want to talk to, you or Jeff?
You know, it's a toss-up with a lot of the fans, but the ladies, they go straight to Hammond and want to hug. They want to sit on his lap for a picture, so I've got to fight them off usually. I'm busy signing autographs, nothing but work for David Reagan, but it's cool hanging out with Hammond. A lot of fans that know a lot about his history love to talk about him and the Darrell days, so I hear a lot of good old stories, but Discount Tire's got a lot of stores out here in the Vegas area, so we did an appearance earlier, and now it's all business. We're here trying to get our Ford Fusion dialed in. I think it's a pretty good race car for today. I don't know how it'll qualify, but we're having some fun.
All right, thanks, David. He puts this thing on the pole stand. Steve, I bet he'll be popular with the ladies.
Well, Krista, they call Hammond LL Cool H. Ladies love Cool Hammond. That's how he rolls. David Green, speaking of cool, second overall in his 07 Toyota. 30.207, 178.767 miles per hour for the 1994 Series champion.
Very good pickup right there for him. I mean, he's pretty fast, and we talked about him before, what a good qualifier he really is. And don't you come over and say anything smart, Hermie.
What? I was just trying to make a comment that we mentioned it. DJ Kennington also had a great pickup, and we need to mention that. I mean, he picked up about a second from yesterday's practice as well. So this goes to show you when it comes time to qualify and you take these things up, get the driver pumped up, you can pick up a lot of speed. This is such a momentum racetrack, Jeff, as you know. I mean, a little bit more in the gas to the center of the corner can mean a lot of speed.
Well, I was going to make a comment that this is really, you're going to find out what drivers are basically ready to get the job done, because you got to hold your breath here and make it happen. It's a fast racetrack, and we're taking a look right now. Scott Gaylord in the 52 car, Jimmy Means' car, and first lap of the 3094. Now, he's the slowest of the guys so far on his first lap, and he's going to be one and done because, again, he's locked in the field, so probably a pretty smart move. He doesn't really care where he starts. He's just worried about where he's going to finish.
First 30 qualifiers locked into the show. As Hermie said, we've got some big hot shoes coming later on. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Greg Biffle, Joe Nemechek, Kyle Busch. Big names there. But you know what? Not locked into the show.
What I'm curious about right now is will this weather and the temperature kind of stay down a little bit, and the wind, you know, yesterday was gusting pretty heavily. I think we call it blustery.
Blustery.
Yeah. So you know we were making comments about that, but it's down this morning right now, and it's supposed to pick up later on in the day. So what I'm curious about is whether or not, you know, guys like Carl Edwards, Jeff Burton, can they put down a lap maybe that will you know, happen as far as, you know, what can they do? Because they're locked into the field. Will they go for the pole or kind of settle back a little bit? Because Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch, they got to be a little bit smart. And hopefully this gentleman on the racetrack, he'll be smarter this time with his first time on the racetrack with a 62 car.
Brendan Gaughan had a good run at California at the Auto Club Speedway. Started 11th, finished 9th.
Got himself in trouble yesterday during that final practice, making a qualifying run.
And he likes to use the high line in 1 and 2 so far, and he's hugging the white line in 3 and 4. We'll see if he changes his line on the second lap. But that middle part of the racetrack can be good because you go around on the outside of the bumps, and with these cars you get a little bit more momentum onto the straightaways.
There he goes. He says you're going to like this. See that our tracker right there up to second quickest right now, coming down the back straightaway. He was really good through 3 and 4 that last time by, and a lot of times, let's think about these tires that need a little bit more heat, so he may have a little something for him. Michael Bliss may better be watching the 62 car. Back in the throttle, wide open off of 4. Just not moving like it needs to.
Second overall for Brendan Gaughan. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
With the 1994 Series champion David Green, who did not make a mock qualifying run in practice, but good run there in the time trial. Why no mock run?
Well, Dick, you know, it's a brand new team. Everybody at SK Motorsports done a great job since January 20th trying to prepare for our season. So, you know, we just concentrate on the car, get it driving good, and can't say enough for Triad, the engine department at Toyota, at Triad up there, and all the guys at TRD for enabling us to do this. And got to say hi to Dad and my granddad back in Kentucky. Dad's recovering from some surgery. My granddad's eagerly watching the race today, so got to say hi to those guys and the family. But, you know, I'm real proud of these guys. In less than from January 20th to now, we've tried to put our team together and be here each week and be competitive. And thanks to all their hard work, we're here.
It's a minor miracle. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dick. Justin Allgaier in the number 12 car on the racetrack now. And Hermie, Jeff, he was very quick in final practice, 4th overall.
Yeah, this guy has shown a lot of potential, the ability to not only go fast at fast racetracks, but his crew tells me he's really good, even with limited experience, Jeff, really good about giving feedback to his guys about what he likes in his race car.
Well, what I've liked about him, he seemed like he's pretty cool under pressure. I mean, he just seemed like he's very calm. Fast racetracks don't seem like they upset him any and all. He's very focused, and he's got a lot of great car control. I haven't seen this 12 car, you know, really out of shape, you know, in these first few races so far this year. I mean, he just looks like he's very much comfortable behind the 12 steering wheel. I mean, just a great job right now so far by this young man.
4th overall. 2008 ARCA Remax Series champion, won 6 times a year ago. And Hermie, I would argue it doesn't. I don't care where you're racing, what you're driving. You win 6 races in a season, you've shown talent.
You're doing something right, and that's another thing that really impresses me about this young man is he's done it the right way. I mean, he's won races and done things every level he's been at. He's taken what they've given him and made the best of it.
He jumps up to second quickest there, Steve.
Yes, he does. Mike Bliss still has the time to beat. Johnny Chapman, David Reagan up next. That's Johnny Chapman in the number 90 Chevrolet. Mike Bliss still the fastest of 10 drivers who have qualified. Let's check in with Krista.
Steve, down here with Jeff Burton, in Las Vegas is your kind of track. What's the secret? Three wins in this series at this track.
Good race cars. I mean, you know, they've always given me great race cars to drive here, and got lucky one year. Mark Martin ran into lap traffic, and I got by him on the last lap. That was lucky. But we've had, you know, then again last year I thought we were going to beat Mark, and we broke and he beat me. So I guess it all comes around. But I don't know. We've had good race cars. I like the racetrack. I was devastated when they changed this racetrack, you know, from the old style to this style. But honestly, they did a great job, and it's actually a lot better than it used to be, and that really surprised me. Normally, when they change racetracks, they mess them up, but this track's been a huge improvement, and it's a lot of fun. It's really fast. These nationwide cars hum around here. I mean, it's wicked fast, so that's always fun, and it's an interesting race because it's so fast that on restarts you have to be able to go. But 20 laps into the race, you're too tight. So you want to be loose, but you can't take off loose because it's so fast you can't keep up. So it's a real give and take kind of a race, and you've got to get the race to run the way you need it to. And that's for us, it's going to probably need to be a long run for us to get done what we need to get done.
Thanks, Jeff.
David Reagan will make his 80th career NASCAR Nationwide Series start later today. Good start to the season, 8th at Daytona, 5th at California.
Hey, Jeff brings up a good point that you impound these cars after qualifying. So what you're going to race with is what you got to qualify with. You can't put a qualifying setup in these cars to get them good and tight for those 2 laps. And you got to start loose to be good at the end of a long run. That's quite a balance these guys always fight in this Nationwide Series.
Oh, it is. And again, talking to Mike Bliss and several other people, that was their biggest concern. To be good qualifying, you almost have to be out of control, and you have to hold your breath. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to hold their breath the best before they're qualifying.
Nice job by Michael McDowell, a brand new father. The 47 car, 5th overall. More on his addition to his family in just a second. Let's go to Dick.
With Justin Allgaier, who was 4th in practice, but 2nd on the board so far. Only got a crash on the racetrack as well. We'll be right back with you, Justin.
And Dick, that's Scott Lagasse in the 11 car.
Sorry, fellas. I thought I caught it.
A lot of damage to that.
I'm fine. Sorry about that. I thought I caught it.
Hermie, a lot of damage to that number 11 Toyota.
Yeah, what a dejected sound that you come for a race car driver, especially in qualifying, trying to get all you can. And if that thing bobbles one time, he's talking about he thought he caught it, Jeff, coming off turn 2.
See him get down in here and see the back end kind of kick out just a little bit, going through the bumps, trying to see it wiggle. And I think it's where there he was. He thought he had it saved, and around it went. It got away from him, and up in that outside safer barrier he goes.
Hermie, when it came around in a hurry.
It really did. We'll look at another angle here at real time. It looks like he made Jeff hitting those bumps in 1 and 2. Look, he got down on the white line, maybe just a little bit right there. Not saying that really caused the accident, but he was down really low, and by doing that, had a lot of wheel input.
Well, you know this racetrack better than I do. There's a possibility maybe he unloaded that left front because, the anti-roll bar right there, you got everything loaded up.
It doesn't take but just a little bit.
If you happen to unload that thing, Steve, it takes all of the wedges of the car, and all of a sudden it'll make it snap around that much quicker. So, again, any number of things right there, because, again, this racetrack is so fast, and you saw how quickly it got away from him because, again, he thought he had it saved, hit those bumps the second time, and it was gone.
Now let's go back to Dick Berggren.
with Justin Allgaier. Thank you for hanging out for us. You had a pretty darn good run for yourself. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a really great run. Chad Walter and all the guys on the Verizon Wireless Dodge did an awesome job yesterday in practice, and we knew we had a really good car yesterday, but we didn't quite get the lap I wanted to run. We made some adjustments after we made our qualifying run yesterday, and felt like we really improved the car. I talked to Carl Edwards just before we went out and qualified, and he definitely helped me out a little bit on some of the things I can do for qualifying. So, you know, like I said, the Verizon Wireless Dodge was great today. Glad to get a good starting spot. Don't know where we're going to end up, but you know, where we're at right now, we feel like we're going to get a good starting spot for today.
I want to quick show you the proudest father in all of Las Vegas right there. That's Mike. That's Justin's dad. Helped nurse him all the way up to the big leagues. Let's go to Kristen.
Well, Dick, yesterday you were giving marital advice to Carl Edwards, so let's catch up with the guy who's celebrating his 8th wedding anniversary. Kevin, what did you buy Delana this year?
Well, you know, that's probably not the best question to ask me. I always tell her every day is like Christmas for her, so I'm not the best at that. But yeah, it's been 8 years. It's been a lot of fun, and we've been through a lot of different situations, so that always makes it fun.
Well, whenever we see you, you guys are always having fun together, so you guys are definitely doing something right.
That's right. Well, we're excited today. Hopefully we can do something right in our car today. We have Rheem tankless water heaters on board today, and they came on kind of at the last minute, so we appreciate everybody from Rheem helping us out. But car's been really good since we unloaded it, and hopefully we can keep it that way.
All right, Kevin's a good sport. I told him we were going to have some fun with him on that one.
All right, thanks, Krista. And Dick mentioned proud fathers. I mentioned Michael McDowell. He and his wife, Jamie, welcomed their first child on Wednesday. 7-pound, 7-ounce Trace joined us.
Yeah, congratulations.
Speaking of Kevin Harvick right there, talked to his crew chief, Ernie Cope.
I got you a match with this guy right here.
The real deal.
You want some of that right there?
No, sir.
I know you're a pretty tough guy.
He's getting a little bit older now. I might be able to take him. You never know.
Well, it's easy to say from up here, Herman.
Exactly.
I know it. He has no idea. He has no idea where the TV booth is. That's why I can say that. I wouldn't say that if I was down there with Krista, but having Kevin Harvick on, I talked to Ernie Cope, his crew chief, this morning. Another variable that's thrown into works here for qualifying is scuffing tires. A lot of places we go to, it's a no-brainer. You put on sticker tires and go out there and go. But here, Jeff, I've heard guys talking about scuffing 3 and some guys up to 8 or 10 laps scuffing on these tires. So another variable between crew chief and driver feel how much time we put on these tires to go out and get that speed we want for qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's one of the things when we talked about yesterday's practice is that what would this new left side tire mean to these guys, and how would we hook up as far as making these cars comfortable for the driver. Mike Bliss again talked to him. He said these tires, you know, you have to get them. They're hard. You got to get some heat in them. So getting them cycled right, finding the ones who kind of like feel like they basically comply to the racetrack are so important to be able to go fast here.
Jeff, you made the point during commercial that speeds are up. We had one driver over 180 miles an hour yesterday. Let's take a look at Nellis Air Force Base here behind the racetrack. We already have 3 in this qualifying, and we have only seen 12 drivers take time.
Only seen 12 drivers, and we got a couple other ones right there that are knocking on the door. So, yeah, I think you're speeding the racetrack at the moment, Steve, and what I'm waiting to see, again, as the 60 car of Carl Edwards rolls off, is the racetrack getting ready to change. I mean, the heat's starting to come up. I can feel it through the glass here up in our booth. So you got to believe this racetrack will be a lot like Lowe's Motor Speedway or any other racetrack. When the heat gets on it, the speeds will go the opposite way. So I think Carl Edwards and a lot of these teams right now would like for some of these guys to kind of like quit making these mistakes. We need to take advantage of a cool, grippy racetrack, not one that's hot and slick. I can promise you something right now, Harvey. This guy right here, he don't know but one way to drive this race car, and that's as hard as it'll go, as fast as it'll go. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of lap he can put down.
It's hard to believe he already has 20 wins in the Nationwide Series.
We talk a lot about Kyle Busch, but here's another driver that is just phenomenal when it comes to getting the job done behind the wheel. I mean, he's fun to watch. I think, if we could have our wishes, you would like to see he and Kyle Busch battle every weekend because they're so much fun to watch on the racetrack. They're so competitive.
I mean, what a great job he does. It's like he's right there at it.
Yes, he is.
He gets it 3/1000ths of a second, 29.82, Steve.
181 miles an hour, Steve.
We were talking about 180. He just jumps right up there.
P1 82, P1 29.82.
That's it, 29.82, 181.
And he's still digging, guys. He's still digging.
Trying to notch his 13th Nationwide Series pole. Let's see his second lap.
I think slow down just a little bit. And he mirrored it.
Same exact time.
Yes, he did. 29.82.
Well, off by 4 1/1000ths.
Just don't worry about that.
Well, Dick, let's check in with a new father.
Yeah, what's it like being a new dad?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Just really thankful. Feel blessed that both mom and baby are back at home and healthy and racing here in Vegas. So it doesn't get much better. I can't wait to get home.
Michael McDowell right now 5th on the board.
Thank you.
And Dick, Carl Edwards, _1 in the 60. Now, John West Townley in the 09 car. He had problems yesterday as well. We talked about Brendan Gaughan and Dale Earnhardt Jr. John West Townley had some trouble as well.
Well, I think we need to go back here again and reiterate. Fast racetrack, tricky racetrack. It's got some bumps in it. You know, it looks smooth as far as television is concerned, but this got some chatter bumps down in turn 1 and 2 that if you don't go across them correctly, if your car is a little bit on the free side or even if it's too tight, front end hits, lose the front end, and all of a sudden the back end will follow. So this is a tricky racetrack, and so far we've seen a lot of guys pay the price because they made a mistake.
And things happen so fast here, Jeff. I mean, behind the wheel, you know, even Daytona is a bigger racetrack. You actually got a little bit more reaction time on certain things at Daytona than you do here. The speed here is much more prevalent. It feels faster, and a lot of things around you are going on in a big hurry. And when your car gets away from you a little bit, it's really hard to react to make the right decision to get it back.
It really is. And again, you know, the speeds we're talking about here.
Down.
There you go. There's the crew chief right there, Brad Parrott. Works with John West Townley saying, hey, you're in the show, shut it down, give me a lap. That's what he did.
And what I liked yesterday, we saw the video during practice. John West Townley's just 19 years old. Hermie, he hits the wall, gets out of the car. Brad Parrott comes up, pats him on the back, you know, gives him that reassurance, that confidence.
We talk about it a lot. I mean, a great combination when you got a young guy like John West Townley. He's going to go through some ups and downs. Confidence is such a big part of this sport. And when you get down a little bit, it's always nice to have a good veteran teammate, especially a guy like Brad Parrott, to come, as you say, pat you on the back and say, no problem, partner, let's get it done.
Carl Edwards trying to hang on for his 13th career pole in the Nationwide Series, and Dick Berggren is with him.
If he does, it'll be the 2nd pole here at Las Vegas. Won it in 2005. You happy with the run?
Yeah, pretty happy with that. The Save-A-Lot guys did a real good job. We didn't make a mock run, so I didn't really know what to expect. And I didn't know whether the first lap or the second lap was going to be faster, and they said they're about the same. So, you know, it's Darren Beach just reached in. He said, I said, I think that'll hold up for top 3. He said, I don't care, just win the race. That's all we want. So, you know, we've been running really well. We got a great race car, and I think it should be a real good race today.
Bad news for you. The 99's on a pole run, too.
What's that?
I said the 99 is on a pole run right now.
Did he just beat me?
Not yet.
Oh.
Looks like he's going to
there. He's coming. I mean, he is flying right now. This young man in his first nationwide race, he has thrown down the gauntlet, guys. 29.59. We have a new track record.
182.451 miles per hour, breaking the previous record set a year ago. Brian Vickers, 181.708.
Scott Speed has speed, boys.
We'll be right back to Las Vegas. 22-year-old Michael Annett in the 15 car, that's a Toyota, is 12th overall. 16 drivers have qualified, and Dick Berggren standing by with the quickest.
That was absolutely incredible, Scott Speed. First time ever in a nationwide car. How did you get this thing to go so fast?
No, that's not true. We had practice yesterday.
Well, other than practice, yes.
What can I say? I mean, obviously the car's a missile. I mean, the track's almost flat for us, so it's not really like there's a lot I'm doing. I mean, I'm just kind of putting the car on the limit. I mean, what can I say? The thing's, it's a missile.
Wow. Congratulations to you, and good luck in the race.
Thanks.
Missile? I'll go with that.
Yeah, I will too. Again, I was sitting up there telling you when we were interviewing Carl, I mean, I'm sitting there watching this race car, and he held it out real wide out there going into turn 1. And when he turned it in across the corner out there, Steve, he was just flying. I mean, that race car was on a rail, and he was holding it wide open. And again, the proof's in the pudding. A new track record for the rookie Scott Speed. I mean, I think that's unbelievable.
Brad Keselowski in the 88 car.
Good first lap. Third quickest, but they wanted to run one more. You heard them on the radio do another one. So maybe some with the air pressure, maybe, Jeff, the way you can really adjust air pressure to stop, but he's cutting it off on the backstretch.
He didn't like it. He didn't like it. I don't think he wanted to go another one, but it's good enough for third right now. Another guy, almost 181 miles an hour.
Well, he shuts it down, and we go to Krista.
We heard from Scott Speed. Let's talk to his Cup Series teammate, Ryan Vickers. And you guys were on the pole in the Nationwide Series last year. The gauntlet has been laid down by Speed. Can you top it?
I don't know. We'll see. We were pretty tight yesterday in practice in this car. We made a bunch of changes, and we're going to go out there and fill it out, see how the Dollar General car is. We're really just mainly focused on the race. But if we can get on the pole, it'd be great.
Thanks, Brian.
Jeff, talking about qualifying, the point I was getting ready to try to make is air pressure and how much you pump the tires up for qualifying is a very key component for speed. And you can adjust that a little bit if you're planning to run 1 lap, or if you're planning to run 2 laps, you can adjust that a little bit to get that maximum grip.
Yeah, we've already talked about how this set of tires, and you've got to feel it. I mean, I think that's what's so impressive. I mean, Scott Speed did it on his first lap. He didn't take the second one, and it's been kind of like a little bit back and forth. Some guys have run faster on their second laps, but you just never know. As we watch Jeff Burton, a guy who knows his way around here, and as a driver, you hear somebody like that lay down a lap. Do you feel like in your face, you're challenged? You know, you got to put out a little extra. I mean, how do you not go out there and make a mistake?
Well, the good thing is, Jeff, as a driver, when I would see stuff like that on the racetrack, you tell him to keep going again. These crew chiefs are not driving these cars.
That ain't what I wanted to hear.
But the biggest thing as a driver, you got to say, wow. Now I know the track has speed in it, so it's not the racetrack. We can't blame it on that. You got to step up to the plate and get it done. So when you watch other guys run fast, that's a good feeling for if you're sitting on that line getting ready to go out.
And Steve, let's point out right quick, Jeff Burton really wasn't that happy with his car yesterday afternoon in the final practice. They were making some adjustments on it. So I think his speed kind of reflects that right there. A little bit quicker on the second lap, but still 8th quickest.
Well, Scott Speed is the man to beat here in Vegas. Kyle Busch dominated the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race in Fontana, and next Saturday, Kyle Busch, the Truck Series stars, head to Atlanta, where things always get a little rowdy. NASCAR Camping World Truck Series racing the way it ought to be next Saturday live here on Speed. You saw Evander Holyfield down on the pit lane. Here he is on the hood of the number 42 car, driven by Kenny Hendrick. Kenny Hendrick will be followed by Casey Atwood, Kevin Harvick, and Stephen Wallace.
Pretty good pickup for Kenny compared to what he practiced at, but I'm sure he'd like to have a little bit more speed than what he's got right now. 15th quickest.
Well, Jeff, we talk about it all the time. It depends on your agenda. Some of these guys are really making pole runs. Others know they're locked into the field. Let's be conservative, get a decent starting spot.
And again, you're right. You got to be smart. We talk about it all the time. You just don't want to go out there because you can't get yourself in trouble so quickly. But I feel like for Kenny, when you got Evander Holyfield here, you want to kind of like, throw caution to the wind just a little bit and, try to get up toward the front because, he is a world champion or former world champion. So, you want to make him proud of having his name on your car. So a little bit of pressure there put on the driver. You know how it is when sponsors show up, don't you, Hermie?
Yeah, that's one of the most interesting moments after a qualifying session, good or bad, is pulling back in to the garage, and you got everybody standing there. If it's good, if you have a good run, it's a little celebration. If you have a bad run, a lot of disappointment. And these guys will keep talking about it, but they got to turn it back around one way or the other and get ready to race here in a couple hours, so they don't have a whole lot of time to celebrate or to be disappointed.
Casey Atwood spent some time driving in the Sprint Cup Series with Ray Evernham and trying to make a comeback in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, former winner in this division. Won at Milwaukee when he was just 18 years old. 6 poles in 139 starts. Veteran crew chief Newt Moore, head wrench on this car.
Nice smooth job, buddy. Nice job right there.
And that was Newt. 10th overall for Casey Atwood.
That's a good run for that team. Really
very good.
20 drivers have qualified, and as we said, Scott Speed the quickest at 182.451 miles per hour. That's a 29.59.
Say it again, Steve, now.
182.
Right. New track record. I mean, that's, to me, is what's astounding. Because last year you would have thought this racetrack would have been at its max speed, being, you know, freshly repaved and everything, a lot of grip. For him to do what he did, again, I still sit up here and scratch my head. It's like, wow. First time in a nationwide car here in Las Vegas. It just unbelievable lap.
We should mention, too, that's Michael Waltrip's car that Scott Speed was driving.
Jerry Baxter crew chief on that car.
32-time winner Kevin Harvick driving his own Chevrolet.
He's got a good run going here, Steve. Looks like he ended up making it up second.
Wind up second, it means you got a pretty fast hot rod right there. I see where you're going to wind up.
P2.
Again.
29.77, 181.35 miles per hour. Two-time NASCAR Nationwide Series champion.
Kevin feels like he's got an opportunity to maybe pick up a little speed. And guys, right now, look at the tracker right there. He's flirting with this pole position.
2004 winner of this race drops down to the apron.
He goes quicker, but not quick enough.
29.60, 1/1000th of a second.
1/1000th of a second. Another guy breaks the old track record in our second car at over 182 miles an hour.
Let's go back to Krista.
Denny Hamlin is in the 20 this week, and it seems weird to have the interstate batteries and your name on it, but what's the strategy for this? Are you guys going for the pole, or do you stay conservative today?
I don't know. I mean, it's a brand new car, so we got to take care of it. I only get to run 3 races this year in the Nationwide Series, so appreciate Norm Miller letting me get in this interstate batteries car. But it's been good. It was good during practice, so we got to make sure we protect the car we practice with.
All right. Good luck, Denny.
Hey, Steve, I think I figured this out. Kevin was trying to give Delana an anniversary gift by sitting on the pole today.
Gotcha.
Just come up a little short.
21-year-old Stephen Wallace driving a Chevrolet. Dad Rusty, the 1989 NASCAR Winston Cup champion. Making his 90th Nationwide Series start this afternoon. He's got 2 poles, trying to score his first Nationwide Series win. Tenth overall in his first lap.
Yeah, he's got a good second lap coming right now, Steve. Down the back straightaway, he's moved up the second quickest.
You could be in line for a decent pickup here, Jeff.
Yes,
Looks like
he is.
Working on a top 5 here.
Yes, sir. He is 3rd overall. Stephen Wallace in his Chevrolet. Good pickup. Let's see if anybody has anything for Scott Speed. Tomorrow on Speed, NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot roars into Vegas with some teams on a roll, others starting to feel the pressure. Whose side will Lady Luck be on in Sin City? Don't miss NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot live tomorrow 2 Eastern. Hermie Sadler will be there.
Am I going to be there?
I feel strongly about it. Brandon Witt in the 61 car is 19th overall. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
With Kevin Harvick, happy anniversary to you.
Well, thank you.
But almost lost it on that first lap.
Yeah, it was our Rheem tankless water heater Chevrolet. There was a little bit loose on the first lap, and I wasn't one of those guys that was wide open. I had to let off the gas, but no brakes. I know that for sure. But still a good lap for us, and it'll be a good, hopefully a good day for us.
On any other day, that probably would have been P1.
Well, Morgan Shepherd in his number 89 Chevrolet will make career start number 243 later today. 15 wins for the ageless one.
Talking about Kevin Harvick being a little bit loose on the qualifying lap. You mentioned it, Jeff. You have to be that way, so that could be a good sign for what Kevin Harvick may have at the end of a long run. These guys was telling me 15, 16, 17 laps, if you're not free enough at the beginning of a run, is when your car really starts to get tight and slow down.
Yeah, you have to kind of keep up with it, but it's like, again, like what Mike Bliss told me. He said the problem with that is to have the car free enough. That means the driver really has to be up on the wheel for those 10 or 15 laps to be really good at the end of a run. So it's really like walking a tight wire to try to be quick enough and to be free enough to be able to be good in the race. And here's a pretty good lap right there put down by Morgan Shepherd. A nice pickup on his second lap to a 30-35. He's currently right now 15th quickest.
For the 67-year-old. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
With Stephen Wallace, who also put down a quick lap, third quick. I've been watching. Your dad is not doing any TV this weekend. He's with you. How much has he helped you?
Yeah, he's running around here. He's talking a little bit to me, but he's more of a...
Just a little bit? It's Rusty. He should be talking a lot.
Oh, yes, he's more of a pain in the butt than anything. But you know, the U.S. Fidel Chevrolet is pretty good. It was pretty good in practice yesterday, and then we ran that lap, which was really good, too. So, you know, the track's real fast right now. So just want to say hey to all the U.S. Fidelis guys back there in St. Louis watching. I feel like we've got a good race car, and hopefully have a good run.
Good job today. Congratulations.
Did he just call Rusty Wallace a pain in the butt?
I'm not too sure I'd be calling the car owner a pain in the butt there,
or
buddy.
Dad.
Or Dad.
Or Dad.
That's 2 strikes.
Here's Jason Keller in the 27 car. Keller will add to his all-time series starts category. He'll make start number 460 this afternoon. 10-time winner. After Keller, we expect to see Kenny Wallace, Brian Vickers, Tony Raines, and Denny Hamlin. Then knockout qualifying begins.
Jason's probably going to be a little bit disappointed with that first lap. Basically the same speed he ran in practice yesterday. He needs to, he was 21st fastest yesterday. He'll need to pick it up a little bit more, Jeff, on lap 2.
Well, I'm going to go back to what Steve and I were talking, or we've been talking about all day long, is he may have looked at the big picture and said, you know what, I can't sit on that pole, so there's no sense me wrecking this race car trying to.
You know, it's amazing. We talk about how many starts Jason Keller has. He's still just 38 years old.
He's been around a long time and a really good race car driver. I don't think he ever really, through the years, has gotten the credit he deserves for the kind of race car driver he is. He's a good behind the wheel and really good, easy on equipment. Always has been.
I'll say he's smart, very smart race car driver, money-making race car driver.
There you go.
Here's the shy one, Kenny Wallace. Border Patrol Chevrolet.
And by that I mean with Jason Keller, kind of like a nationwide version of a Mark Martin. You knew when he was around him, he was going to race you clean. If he was behind you, you knew you didn't have to worry about him doing something dumb, as you said. And that's why he's had the longevity that he has.
And probably more importantly, the respect.
Right. Exactly.
In that garage area right now. He's got a ton of respect down there at Nationwide garage area. So fierce competitor, but at the same time, you know, he's a guy that can get it done and get it done right.
And Jason, and this is not a negative, Hermie, I think we're all saying the same thing. He's not going to overdrive the car. If he's got a 10th place car, he'll bring it home in the top 10. He's not going to try and
at the end of the day, that's what you want.
Exactly.
I mean, he knows how to win. He's won some races, but he'll get you what the car is supposed to get that day 9 times out of 10.
Jason Keller, 10 wins. Kenny Wallace, 9 series wins. And Kenny's got quite a few starts himself. He'll make career start 421 in the Nationwide Series today. Kenny Wallace, the 27th driver to take time.
18th quickest. He's going to play too. Looks like he's trying to pick it up a little bit too, Herm. He's flirting up there now in that top 15.
We've seen a lot of guys be able to pick it up a little bit until they get to 3 and 4. If he can hold the speed off turn 4, he will pick it up to a top 15 spot.
Good job by Kenny Wallace. Picks up, he is 14th overall in that Border Patrol Chevrolet.
That's a good run.
Way to hustle, Herman. Way to hustle.
Let's go to Krista.
Catching up with Greg Biffle, who just walked out here. And I know you talked about the whiteout in practice. You know, I was looking up 300 bags of Speedy Dry here on site. Do you think they used them all in practice?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a little dusty over there. It was my fault. I was just way up too high on the racetrack. But these guys did a good job getting the City Financial Ford Fusion going again. And if I can get over this cold, I'll be in good shape. You know, just gonna be a long day today and tomorrow for me. But I think we're going to get a good qualifying run in. My Cup car's real good, too.
Well, hang in there. And misery loves company. The whole booth has a cold, too, if that makes you feel any better.
Krista, we were just comparing notes. Jeff and I on medicine. Nothing's working.
Yeah, nothing's working right now. So
Biffle shook his head, yes, but I don't think he really cares that we're sick.
I was getting ready to say the same thing. It's kind of like, you know, y'all got your problems, I got mine. I don't really care about yours.
That's right. Move on. Brian Vickers up now, driving for Braun Racing.
Brian was 12th quickest in the final practice yesterday.
Nice start to this 2009 season as well for Vickers. He's 6th at Daytona, 8th in California. And he is the guy that set the track record here 1 year ago at 181.708 miles per hour, 29.71.
Good solid first lap, good enough for 8th quickest. It looks like he's going to, you know, pick it up a little bit here off of turn 2. He's already up to 5th quickest. Look at the tracker and trying to improve on that position.
A lot of times, Jeff, these cars, we talked about them being loose on the first lap. A lot of times these cars will tighten up just a little bit, enough on the second lap to let the driver get a little bit more speed, and he picks it up a little bit.
Brian Vickers, 7th overall in his Dollar General Toyota. Following Vickers, we have Tony Raines and Denny Hamlin. Then knockout qualifying begins. Andy Ponstein in the 02 car, the first driver out, not locked into the field. And again, we have 47 teams here for 43 positions.
We discussed this last week. That's probably the saddest thing about this whole process here today, is that we got guys that are going to have to go home because they're not quite fast enough to run today. It'll be a long, basically 2,800 miles back across this country.
Well, it's, you know, like last night on trackside, Jeff, both Scott Riggs and Jeremy Mayfield were on the show, and neither one qualified for the race. And you know, it's the reality of the sport.
It is, and you could feel their pain. I mean, you could see it in their body language, in their faces, and in their tone. But you know, you got to give them credit. You know, they knew what the kind of fight they were getting into, and they were willing to accept the consequences if it went negative. I mean, they've had a lot of positives first part of this year. This is the first negative. Going to find out what they're made out of next week when we get to Atlanta.
And Hermes, Scott Riggs, in fact, said this is what we signed up for. We knew what we were headed into.
Yeah, I mean, first thought when I was watching trackside, first thing you got to say is, you know, kudos to them for coming on the show and fulfilling obligations, because that's a tough spot to be in as a driver. You felt like you've let the whole world down, and for you to still come up and show up and be willing to talk about it, that says a lot about those two guys, and that's part of the reason why they will continue to you know, to improve. And those teams are going to be factors, and but they do have an uphill climb.
Let's go back to Krista.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is out here in his car, and some big shoes to fill. This is the race-winning car from last year. Are you going to put it on the pole?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We've got a pretty good car, and it was running good yesterday. There's some good laps. Some guys are running pretty early, and we'll just see what happens when we go out there.
All right, I should say go Junior, but I'm going to say go Daddy instead.
All right, thank you, Krista. The 20 car with the interstate colors on it, driven by Denny Hamlin. Tracker looks pretty good early in that run.
Yeah, he really hustled off down into turn 1, but he gave up just a little bit through the center there, Steve. He was trying to make it back here going into turn 3. Creeping back this way. Going to be a good first lap, though. Over 180 miles an hour.
Scott Speed in a Toyota, still the fastest. He ran a 29.59, 182.451 miles per hour. Let's see what Denny Hamlin can do. Tracker looks good.
You can tell Scott Speed was really fast through the center of 1 and 2 and off of turn 2, because everybody seems like they're challenging him getting down into turn 1, but from there off of turn 2 is where Scott Speed really had him covered.
Getting ready to say right through the middle of the corner out there of 3 and 4, he was fast enough to challenge Scott Speed and gave it up just a little bit on the exit.
Nicely done by Denny Hamlin. He is 3rd overall. So it's Toyota, Chevy, Toyota. We'll be right back with knockout qualifying. Want to be a part of the excitement at the track? Go to the NASCAR section on SpeedTV.com and select NASCAR on Speed to send us your email. NASCAR on Speed, be there. Andy Ponstein in the 02 car, 21st overall.
I was going to say, Steve, you know what you can do? They can email guys like Hermie and ask him what their favorite song is.
Or singer David Allen Coe.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, the three of us could moonlight as a nice trio singing somewhere in Vegas because we are really good.
We are on fire, Krista.
Yeah, I'm down here shaking my head. No, that is not a good idea. What is a good idea is to bet on the hometown favorite, Kyle Busch. One pole already in the Cup Series, going for another. And were you in a wedding yesterday? Is that what I heard? How did that happen?
Yeah, apparently there was a wedding going on in Victory Lane when we went to do the pole board stuff yesterday. So I jumped in and was best man, you know, gave him the ring to give to her and stuff. So congratulations to that lucky couple yesterday. It was kind of cool.
All right, from the wedding to the pole and possibly another one, Dick.
And I'm with Danny Hamlin. I don't know how we can top that, but good run. Good run. Did you run flat out all the way, or were you more conservative?
No, definitely more conservative, too. Like I told these guys, you know, it's a new car, and, you know, Joey's going to get to run it a bunch. So, you know, it don't need to go to the body shop because of me, you know, just for this one race. So, no, just got to thank Norm and everyone at Interstate Batteries for coming on the Toyota this week. And excited to be back with Dave. I haven't been with Dave since, I think, Lowe's last year in May. So, definitely a different experience for sure coming back to these nationwide cars.
Dave is Dave Rogers, your crew chief.
Thank you, Dick. The 22 car with Johnny Borneman III aboard.
This is not good for Johnny Borneman. He's one of the first guys that has slowed down here, and maybe the racetrack is now starting to go back the other way, Steve, but I think he needs to be a little bit quicker than this. We were talking that final practice yesterday. Larry Mack and I were kind of like, you know, doing a quick survey, and we felt like if he ran down in the 30s today, you'd be pretty solid. He ran a 30.79 yesterday, and you can see his second lap was a 31.02. So I think he's putting himself pretty much on that edge that you don't want to be.
Yeah, 4 drivers will not race later today. 28-year-old Curtis Davis out of Gaffney, South Carolina. Driving the 49 car after Curtis Davis, we'll see Dale Earnhardt Jr., Robert Richardson Jr., and then Terry Cook, Dennis Setzer, and Greg Biffle. 13th NASCAR Nationwide Series race at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
You know, Curtis sometimes can really pick it up good for qualifying. For some of the opportunities he's gotten, he's really done some good jobs on qualifying day in this Nationwide Series.
Yeah, he really has. You know, I've always still contend that I think he's a much better race car driver than he's been able to, you know, show. And each week he's able to come out here and jump in just about anybody's race car that needs to get a car in the show and put down impressive laps. And he knows how to work on them and take care of it. I mean, it's just, he comes from a racing background. His dad, Johnny, the owner of the 01 and the O car, also the 0 car.
Like he's right in that danger zone again, there with Johnny Borneman. He could pick it up. Needs to pick it up a couple tenths.
Well, but at least in his case, he at least picked up a couple tenths over yesterday, and that's the only thing bad about Johnny Borneman's lap was he was clearly, if he'd ran that 30.70, I think would have put himself in a pretty good position to make this race. And right now, Curtis Davis, he has picked up a couple of tenths, and he's going for 2 right now. And if he can't pick up a little bit more, he's going to jump ahead of Johnny Borneman.
He did it.
And he does.
That could make the difference between making the race or going home. He's waiting for some feedback from his crew chief.
Yeah, well, you're faster than you were yesterday.
That's what he wants to know.
Can I come back in? Can I come back to the pits now? Do I need to drive on at the gate and drive back to North Carolina?
That's a bad feeling.
They won't talk to him.
Say well, crew chief.
Crew chief.
What do we got?
I think he did a good job, Curtis. You picked up almost 0.3 of a second from yesterday.
He gave good effort regardless. I mean,
exactly.
him to stay out there, pick up speed, and get that one spot ahead of Johnny Borneman could make the difference.
Yep.
22 NASCAR Nationwide Series wins for Dale Earnhardt Jr., 2 championships to boot. Mark Martin drove that 5 car to victory lane here 1 year ago. Jr. expects to make 7 Nationwide Series starts this season.
Dale Jr. was 3rd quickest in final practice. He's going to have to pick it up a little bit to back that up. A decent lap going, but certainly not a top 5 run.
Well, I think right now you got to look at the big picture right here for him. He needs to get a solid lap in here, and then if he wants to try to go for 2, but he's going to say, hey, 1 and done, I'm in the show.
13th overall for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 5 car. Scott Speed still with a time to beat. We'll be right back to Nationwide Series qualifying. Robert Richardson in a 0 car does a good job of qualifying. He's 23rd overall. His lap locks Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the field. That's Terry Cook in the number 91 Chevrolet. Now he has, Hermie, he's got 10 starts here in the Camping World Truck Series, the 4 top 10s, and I know those vehicles are very different, but I would have to think, or I'm guessing, that track familiarity gives him some added confidence.
You can never have too many laps on a racetrack or too many. You learn a lot about a racetrack. We've talked about how turns 1 and 2 got a few bumps in it, and you learn a lot about how you can move around on a given racetrack, regardless of what you're driving, to gain maximum speed. And Terry's got a good run going here.
Yeah, he got himself locked in the field right now with that lap right there, Hermie. 18th quickest on his first lap. Now, I don't know about you. It's time for that crew chief to say.
Phil Parsons is going to be calling in from North Carolina if he's there, telling him to back it down. Good first lap.
A little surprised he's going for 2 right now.
And he's pretty aggressive right down there along the white line down along the bottom.
Yeah, he slowed down quite a bit on the second lap. So.
Good run, though, 18th.
Yep, he is locked in, 18th overall, and Scott Speed still the fastest here in NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying. Up next, we expect Dennis Setzer, Greg Biffle, Derek Cope, and Joe Nemechek. And there is Dennis Setzer.
I mean, you used to race a lot against Dennis, didn't you?
Awesome. Yeah, he's another Jason Keller type guy. I mean, always competitive, runs up front, does it the right way, a real classy guy on and off the racetrack. And he's a lot better on these 1.5-mile tracks than he gets credit for, but you put him on a flat track or a short track and you can count on him being competitive.
Cut his teeth over there racing the Hickory Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir.
Raced against Dale and Glenn Jarrett and all that group over there.
Tommy Sigmund.
Yeah.
Had some fun races.
Tommy Houston.
Had some fun races with Dennis back in the day at South Boston, Orange County, Hickory, those kind of races. I mean, he's a really, really good racer.
2 wins in this series, and much like Terry Cook, 10 starts here in the Camping World Truck Series at Vegas. 7 top 10 finishes for Dennis Setzer.
He got like himself in too. Looks like it.
Yes, sir. Right behind Terry Cook. So Dale Earnhardt Jr., Terry Cook, and Dennis Setzer locked in. And Jeff, you talked about it a moment ago. We look at the times posted by Curtis Davis and John Borneman. They're in tough territory.
Yeah, they really are. Again, I really felt like if you could run down in the 30s, it would pretty much, get you in the field today. And anything around a 31 flat was going to be kind of iffy. And those guys are going to have to sweat it out here as the remainder of the field. Still got about 9 guys to go here.
Dennis picks it up a little bit on lap 2, actually moves ahead of Terry Cook up to the 18th spot. So good job by Dennis in that crowd.
It's time now for the Biff. Best Vegas start in this series is 3rd. He did that in 2001 and 2006. 6 top 10 finishes in 7 starts.
He's working, trying to get some heat in those tires coming down through the back straightaway here on his first lap. Now, we talked about it in California, coming to the green, how important it was. A momentum racetrack. No different here in Las Vegas. You need to come through 3 and 4 and really get your car up to speed if you expect to nail that first lap and really get the maximum out of it.
18 wins for the Biff in the Nationwide Series, but Hermie, it's hard to believe 76 races between visits to Victory Lane. Greg's last win, California, the Auto Club Speedway in 2006.
Yeah, he never would have guessed that it would take him that long to get back to Victory Lane, because this is a guy that's well known to have a lot of car control, and he's good on all different kinds of racetracks.
Yeah. Come on, baby.
Talking to her. Like that. 3rd quickest.
P3.
3rd overall for Greg Biffle, 181.886 miles per hour. Well, coming up, Derek Cope, Joe Nemechek, Brian Keselowski, and Kyle Busch. Derek Cope in the 41 car has qualified 29th overall. That locks Andy Onstein in the 02 car into the show. Dick?
With Greg Biffle, a solid run, 3rd place so far. Did you get everything out of the car?
Well, I probably a little bit left in there. I just I torque braked it a little bit too much down in turn 1 and 2. I just slowed the car down a little bit right on corner entry, and probably cost us maybe a couple spots, maybe that front row. But really excited about how these guys got this car going. It's going to be a fun day today.
He has got a great hot rod for the race this afternoon.
Fun. That's the key word there out of the Biff. Fun.
Speaking of fun right now, Joe Nemechek has got himself on a really good little run going here at first lap, 30.55. And that should pretty much lock him in because, again, he's a defending champion of this series, so he's got that to fall back on. But, you know, guys, what about yesterday? He elected not to run the final practice here in the Nationwide Series, concentrated on his Sprint Cup effort, made that race
yes, he did.
Yesterday. So now he's going for 2. Yes, he will get himself in the race right here. 26 quickest, picks up just a little bit on that second lap, but good weekend so far for Joe Nemechek.
Jeff, you talked about qualifying yesterday in the Cup Series. Boy, there's some big operations that did make the show. Travis Kvapil in the 28, Dave Blaney in the 66, Mayfield in the 41, Scott Riggs among those not making the show.
It was one of those kind of like a bad day at Flat Rock, you might say, because there were some guys that really thought they had everything working their way after California and felt real confident coming in here. But this sport has a very humbling way of getting your attention. So they'll have to regroup and go to Atlanta next week and see if they can put everything back on track.
Hey, guys, curious, after Brian Keselowski makes his run, we expect to see Kyle Busch. Do you think he'll have anything for Scott Speed?
You never count that guy out, Kyle Busch. When it comes to qualifying, racing, or anything, he doesn't know but one speed, and that's wide open.
I was going to say, I can't believe you even asked us that question.
Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. You're just trying to see what kind of weird answer we may give you.
Tell you, Scott Speed laid down a heck of a lap,
yes,
though. 29.59, 29.60 right in there. I mean, but Kyle Busch has certainly been up to the task all year long.
Well, to me, again, what's so amazing, again, Harvick, Biffle, Hamlin, Edwards, those are the veterans he took on a beat. Even young Stephen Wallace has got more experience than he does. First time in a Nationwide Series car, and like I say, he doesn't have hardly any lap times or laps here at Las Vegas. So, again, what do you call that thing? A bullet?
Missile.
A missile. That's right. A missile.
It was a missile, and he was a man on a mission.
He got that right. Brian Keselowski, 31 flat on that first lap, and guys, I'm still saying that's right on the edge. He needs to pick it up on his second lap, and he does.
So Keselowski picks up, he is 28th overall, and Robert Richardson is now locked into the show by virtue of Keselowski's lap bumped in. The drivers not locked in are Keselowski, Derek Cope, Curtis Davis, John Borneman.
He's got to beat one more car of these go-or-go homers to make himself into the show. A decent lap, but he's still not locked in.
So Rowdy Busch up next, and at Z-Line Designs Toyota. He already has 22 career wins and 15 poles in 140 Nationwide Series starts. Led 238 of 250 laps a week ago at California. Won both races in one day.
You realize that last year he basically had a career
in 1 year.
In 1 year. I mean, it's just unbelievable what he was able to accomplish.
Yeah, I think there's a total of 21 wins across 3 series.
Exactly.
Tracker right now shows him 7th, 8th.
Where's it at?
Well, tell him something, guys. Whoa. He got his solid lap in there.
First lap, 7th overall. 181.032. Finally gets that answer, 7th.
Sneaks up to 3rd, now to 2nd. Through 3 and 4, Hermie right here is what it's going to count. Can he get through here and make up some ground?
He's got right there, like on the top 5.
5th overall for Kyle Busch. So Scott Speed still the speediest. Final drivers coming up in Nationwide Series qualifying. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying from Las Vegas is brought to you by the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Scott Wimmer in the 40 car has locked himself into the field. He is 27th overall. Danny O'Quinn Jr. in the 01 car up next, to be followed by Mike Harmon, Stanton Barrett, and the last driver out, Kelly Byers.
Let's get down to crunch time, guys. Remember, you sit down inside that race car and your crew's coming over telling you each time a guy goes out, this is what you got to do. Here's where the mark is.
Yes, I mean, it's good and bad. It's warming up a little bit, so that's a negative as far as going at this late. But a good thing is you know when you go on the racetrack what you need to do.
Yeah, and on top of that, at least NASCAR's done everything possible to make it fair for all these guys. So let's see how this here kind of equates out. Danny Quinn Jr. on his first lap, he will lock himself in. You hear the crew chief, you're in, you're in, you're in. That means get off the throttle,
yes,
big
sir.
guy, and bring it back to the house. And it does kick Johnny Borneman III out of this field for the day.
Now, unfortunately, Borneman is locked out, but a Quinn Jr. in. Big trouble for Mike Harmon. Lost his number 84 Chevrolet in between turns 1 and 2, and look at the damage to that formerly pretty race car.
Harmon, step up here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens. We talked about you telling your driver what you have to do to get in this show, and he really needed to pick up his practice speed from yesterday, and you drive a little bit harder down in turn 1 than he did any time yesterday, and you just don't know exactly what the car's going to do. It may have bottomed out, Jeff.
Well, it looked to me almost like you see the brake rotor, pieces of brake rotor coming out beneath that car. It looked almost like when the car got down, it got in those bumps and it upset itself and broke loose a little bit. He tried to chase it up the racetrack, and we saw every time anybody gets up in that area right there, they just can't keep it off that outside wall. And here he goes again. Mike Harmon, 84, rounding hard in the outside wall. I mean, it is killed that left front tire and left side of that car.
Let's take a look in real time.
He was in trouble as soon as he got down in the corner. He got in those bumps and the car slid up the racetrack. Then you start putting more wheel into it, Jeff, trying to get it back to the bottom of the racetrack, and it just got away from him.
Well, his misfortune turns out to be good news for Brian Keselowski, because he is now locked into the show. There's 2 drivers remaining to qualify, Stanton Barrett and Kelly Byers. There you see them at the front of the grid.
And again, this is something, at least in my expectations, my experience, is that from a crew chief and especially a driver, a guy's wrecked, you're the next guy in line. You've got to put your trust, not only your crew chiefs who can see what's going on for us track cleanup, but also the cleanup workers in NASCAR, that they're going to get that racetrack clean, and you're not going to worry about any kind of fluids or debris that you may run over when you go off down inside that turn 1, you know, and trying to make a fast lap.
I'll tell you, in the case of Stanton Barrett, he just doesn't need that distraction right now. I mean, he needs to focus on getting his lap done. Stanton, obviously, plenty capable of getting this car in the show, but this distraction, not only of wondering if the racetrack's going to be clean, but, you know, sitting there having to think about it over and over again, what he needs to do. He needs to get on the racetrack.
And another interesting point right now, for him to be able to make sure he's safely in the field, he's going to have to knock out one of his team cars. As we're sitting there right now taking a look at Scott Speed, Mr. Cool is kicking back, relaxing right now, waiting for this thing to end. He's just 2 away from claiming his first, you know, nationwide pole. I mean, it's phenomenal. Again, first time he's ever tried it. Looking like a hero right now.
And again, as we said earlier, credit to Michael Waltrip Racing and Jerry Baxter, the crew chief on that car.
Well, you know, Steve, the thing is right now, Michael Waltrip has always had probably one of the stronger nationwide programs there is. I mean, when he was running it out of the shop right behind his house, I mean, his limited Cheryl's Ford right there. I mean, he'd show up and he was always a factor and won a lot of races there. So this is not shouldn't be a really big surprise that this race car is this fast.
There you see both of Mike Harmon's crewmen down there surveying the damage. Disappointing anytime that you don't feel like you got, you know, he would at least like to have completed his lap to see if he had enough to get it done.
But as you said earlier, though, it's time to go for it, and he was definitely not leaving anything on the table.
Johnny Borneman and Mike Harmon, we know, will not race later today. Looks like the track safety workers have turn 2 about cleaned up.
Good thing it didn't appear that he dropped any fluids on the racetrack, Jeff. So just a matter of going through it and making sure that they got all the debris. We saw a brake rotor and some other
pieces of brake rotor right there off that left front after it slapped the outside wall.
3 drivers have broken the existing track record. We'll be back for the final 2 drivers in Nationwide Series qualifying. Well, all they can do is take the hammer to that 84 of Mike Harmon, his Chevrolet, and load it up, because unfortunately he will not race. He and John Borneman locked out, and Stanton Barrett, Kelly Byers, the final 2 drivers to qualify.
And Steve, I might add, he ain't got a big enough hammer.
He's going to need a big one. Bigger one.
Yep. Now the pressure's on. Let's see what the stuntman in California can pull off today, because he's going to have to pick it up. What he practiced at yesterday is not good enough to get him in the show, so Stanton Barrett's going to have to dig a little deep here and get him a good lap.
See the tracker back there flirting with that 34th position.
All he's got to do is just stay on that right there. Yep. Now he's getting too close to where he's not going to make it. If he can make it back to start finish line, he will lock himself in. Ooh, it's going to be close.
He's in.
He's in.
Just quicker than Derek Cope by less than 1/10 of a second. That unfortunately bumps Curtis Davis out of the show. Stanton Barrett is in.
Now here again, crew chief, I think I'd be telling him, you're in, slow down. Second lap's not going to be quick enough to warrant doing what he's doing, but he got by with it.
Good job, especially.
You're in.
Yeah,
you're a lap late.
Lap late. Yeah. A good job by Stanton, especially, Steve, we talk about it again, him having to sit and wonder the condition of the racetrack and put that distraction behind him. So good job for Stanton Barrett.
Well, good news for Stanton is his crew chief is a veteran, Paul Andrews. We've talked about that. Paul's won races at the Sprint Cup level. And so now Kelly Byers takes that number 10 car out onto the racetrack. He is the final driver to qualify. And anxious moments now for Derek Cope.
Kelly's one of those guys, he's in a car that's been fast enough as far as practice was concerned, and if he can just go back out and equal what he did in practice, he'll be safely in the field. So, which is bad news for Derek Cope, but it should make it a little easier for Kelly to be able to do this. I mean, he just needs to repeat what he did in practice.
Yeah, Derek Cope sitting on a 30-70, and Kelly Byers ran a 30-40 in practice yesterday, so he's got a good lap going right now. If he just holds tight with what he's got right there, a good conservative lap, he'll lock himself in easily.
Very solid lap right now for Kelly Byers right now down the back straightaway into turn 3. Flirting right now with the top 15, definitely a top 20 qualifying speed.
Jeff, right now, if I was his crew chief,
I'm waiting.
Shut her down. And that does bump Derek Cope out of the field. Kelly Byers, outstanding lap. 18th overall, 179.18. And there it is. He shuts her down off of turn 2 down the backstretch.
Big picture racing right there for Kelly Byers in that group.
Let's go to Chris Devoda.
Well, I think Scott Speed should take part in this nationwide race and go straight to the blackjack table. You're rolling all the luck in Vegas right now.
Yeah, at the moment. I mean, the season hasn't been that way so far, but hopefully things are turning around. I mean, what can I say? The car was awesome. I mean, this track, you know, we're only lifting just a tiny bit, so I mean, honestly, it's a lot more car, I think, than driver. But what can I say? I mean, it's coming together. It's a good way to start my Nationwide Series debut, I guess.
That's right, his first ever nationwide start. He's on the pole.
Not bad at all. Pole position in his first start.
Now I want to watch to see how he handles starting up front and how these veterans, Kevin Harvick, Greg Biffle, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch, he's got quite the cast starting right behind him.
Well, I think, Hermie, he does have a little bit of advantage. When he won his one and only Camping World Truck Series race at Dover last year, he started 4th. I don't think the pressure will be bothering him. I look for him to probably hold that lead even against all these veterans.
One other impressive note on Scott Speed, he's the 9th driver to win the pole in his first Nationwide Series attempt.
Told you it was phenomenal.
It was indeed in many respects. Derek Cope, Curtis Davis, John Borneman III, and Mike Harmon, the 4 drivers not making the field for today's Samstown 300. Stay with us here on Speed. Sprint Cup Series practice coming up. First, we'll go to the speed stage and John Roberts.